Caitlin, what's the status of your health right now, and what specifically injury-wise between the ankle and the groin was it that prevented you from coming back this year?
Yeah, honestly, I've been working really hard to get back to full health, and I feel like probably over these last couple of weeks is when I've probably started feeling my best. Obviously, my ankle kind of didn't allow me to really see where my groin was at. It was, I think, my second full court workout back when we were in, I don't even know what month that would have been, but I just went to kind of make a move, and unfortunately my ankle like completely rolled all the way forward, and probably one of the worst sprains I've dealt with. But I've just tried to stay positive the best I can, and but I honestly feel like I'm in a really good spot. And people don't always realize, people that are kind of in the basketball world, or whether if you're in other sports too, like when you're injured, it's honestly more work than when you're playing. So I've spent so much time here in this building this season just trying to get healthy, and trying to kind of just get back to 100%. And honestly, I think that, if I never was, I obviously played that game in Connecticut, and that's where I kind of felt some more pain in my right groin, and then obviously had some tests and other things done. And, there was no decision of like, this is the end of my season. I had full intention of returning. And I think in a way that was probably positive for me, because that's how I approached every single day. I came in here like, I was going to play, I was going to get back out on the court, and it probably would have been even more devastating and crushing knowing that I was never going to be able to put my uniform back on for the rest of the season. But, you just approach it like every single day you attack and get better, and it'll be the same for me going forward. Like that work doesn't stop. And, I think I think I've had really good perspective on it all, and that's probably what I'm most proud of too.
Hey, Caitlin, good to see you. Obviously, there's been a lot kind of going on this week.
What?
I may have heard some things. Wanted to see, after Nafisa's comments and what she alleged that Kathy Engelbert had said specifically about you, what your thoughts were on that, and have a follow-up.
Well, first of all, I have great respect for Fee, and I think she made a lot of very valid points. And I think what people need to understand, we need great leadership in this time across all levels. This is straight up the most important moment in this league's history. This league's been around for 25 plus years, and this is a moment we have to capitalize on. So that's honestly what I would say. I think there's, Fee said it all with what she said, and I think the points she made were very valid.
Had you heard that story from her before she said it publicly? And then have you spoken with Kathy Engelbert or heard from her at all since then?
No.
Thank you.
Go to Chloe, and then we'll jump over to Lou once Chloe's done. Yeah, just with working back to full health, Steph mentioned that it was kind of baby steps and getting back and making sure you don't lose what you've worked on this season. Just what are your plans for the off season, and possibly playing or just doing individual workouts?
Yeah, probably take a little bit of a break here, just for maybe a week. I don't really want to lose a ton of the stuff I've worked on, and just trying to get my body back to full health. There's some USA basketball stuff I need to get ready for, and I need to be able to find some runs and some ways to play 5-on-5, just so I can kind of get that feel back. And but more than anything, I think my main focus is really just getting my body healthy. And once we get back to 5-on-5, like just being able to test my body and make sure I know it's in a good spot where it's going to be able to hold up with everything that, we think we've corrected or we think we've worked on, to be able to know I'm in a really good spot there. And, when you go through injuries, especially in my scenario where it's been a few of the reoccurring kind of bouncing around, which isn't necessarily uncommon in my situation just because of compensation, and when you're dealing with things in that groin area, that just is kind of how it can go sometimes. I think it's important that you can become confident in your body again, and that's for anybody that goes through injury. So that's probably going to be my main focus is, just feeling 100% again, and then obviously, having that confidence in my body too.
We'll go to Lou and then to Josh.
Right here. I'm just continuing on what Chloe asked. How close are you to that 100% and being able to do the 5-on-5? I don't think we really knew you hadn't played any 5-on-5 up and down the court.
Yeah.
At any time like that, so.
I think that's probably where people struggle to understand at times is there is a huge difference than me standing there and shooting spot shots and running up and down. But in a basketball game, like, I'm not thinking like, oh, I'm planting here, oh, I'm cutting, oh, I'm doing this, oh, I'm doing that. Like, you're just doing it. So your muscles need to be able to react and withstand that type of stuff. So that's where the 5-on-5 becomes really critical. And then obviously the contact piece of it too. Like, you don't know where you're going to be taking contact from. But, you know, my goal, it was the end of October to kind of be out there and trying to get back to playing 5-on-5. And I think that's a very reasonable thing for me. And, you know, I've been grinding as hard as I possibly can. And, you know, that's how it's always kind of just been for me. Like, I love the work. I love putting in the work. And, you know, that it's been difficult not being able to, like, see the time you put in, being able to put on your jersey and see it pay off. But I think, like I said, I think it's been a really good opportunity for me to learn a lot about myself and, you know, certain lessons that will probably be really important throughout my career as well.
Go Josh, then Brian.
Hey, Caitlin, good morning.
Good morning.
You know, Steph talked about AB just being the rock of this team. I'm just interested how her friendship helped you get through the rough mental times throughout the season.
I mean, I think it's obviously AB's tremendous. Like, we've always had a great relationship, and that's what exactly you need between your post and your point guard. And she's always been somebody that's been there to check in and pick me up. But I think that goes for our entire team, and I think that speaks for our entire season. I don't think it would be, you know, I don't think we would have had the type of success that we had if it wasn't for the friendship or the empathy people showed one another or the next man up mentality. Like, that was shown across the board in our locker room, whether it was, you know, for myself or whether it was for somebody that came in mid-season and got hurt. Like, it was always the same. Like, you always care for your teammates in the same manner. So, you know, obviously AB was tremendous in that role, and I think she had an incredible year. But honestly, our entire roster really excelled in that area.
With respect to your recovery, looking down the line, have you explored opportunities maybe to play 5-on-5 during the offseason as part of kind of that ramp up so that you're ready for next season and have played actual basketball before things start up again in the summer?
Yeah, I mean, I think you always explore every opportunity, and I haven't made any decisions, and I don't know, you know, what that's necessarily going to look like for me. Like I said, there's some USA basketball stuff that is probably my top priority right now that I need to prepare for, and I think that will help me prepare for next season too. But obviously, then you have to prepare for USA basketball in some manner. So that, you know, there's just a lot of different things you got to figure out and balance, and you know, I'll work through a lot of that too.
I will go Claire and then Elliot.
With you know, Fever playoff run, Pacers playoff run, WNBA All-Star, NBA All-Star are here, all here in Indy. Tell us what it means to you to play here and what makes Indy so special.
Yeah, I mean, this place is incredible, and I think you've heard so many people talk about it over the course of the last few weeks, whether it's the Colts, whether it's Pacers, whether it's been our players. You know, it's just incredible. It's, in a way, it almost feels like a college, like a university. Like, all the teams are supporting each other, and like, you don't get that in professional sports really. But like, you have that here, and I think that just speaks, like, I always say, like, obviously I'm from Iowa, like, Indianapolis, I understand it's a big city, but it doesn't really feel that way to me. Like, it's a very close-knit group. Like, everybody supports one another, but then you have the professional sports teams, and that's what everybody's most passionate about here. And that's what I love about it. You know, people really show up. A lot of these fans, like, these have been their teams since they've been 5 years old. This is all they've known. These are the only teams they've cheered for. And, you know, to have this type of success across the board, obviously the Colts have had an amazing start to their season, and the Pacers run last year, and then everything we've been able to persevere and, you know, reach the WNBA semifinals. Like, it's a really special time in this city, and, you know, I can't imagine myself in a better place, and just really fortunate to have, you know, made different friendships with different athletes across the city, and just have the support from not only the city, but the state as a whole.
We'll go Elliot and then Brad in the room. And then I'm going to try to jump into Zoom quickly.
Hey, Kathleen. There.
Sorry.
I'm French, by the way. The Pacers played in NBA played an NBA Paris game,
Yeah.
and there is some also the NCAA games in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
How much would you like to see a WNBA Paris game to
I would
showcase
love
your
it.
talent in
I
Europe?
would love it. I would go anywhere and play. I think that would be, as I said earlier, like we're in a moment in time where, you know, the WNBA has never been hotter. There's never been more fans. There's never been more international fans of the game, and that's where you can really grow is in the international space. And I think the NBA has done a tremendous job of that. And you know, I would love to go play over there. You know, I think it would be really fun. I think it, you know, obviously there's quite a few. You know, obviously if it's in Paris, there's some great French players on other teams as well that could make it exciting. Obviously, the Pacers played Wemby over there, and I know they had an amazing time getting to do that. So I would be very open to that. I think it would be, you know, great for the league to, you know, try that out, see how it goes, and I'm pretty positive it would go well. So I would love it.
Brad?
Caitlin, this was not an ideal situation for you this season, but how much of an element of basketball learning were you able to get in having an extended period to just sit and watch and observe and be in the huddle and almost take on the role of another set of coaching eyes with this group this season?
I mean, it's not what I envisioned by any means. But, you know, I've talked with a few people about this. I think, you know, when I get a few years down here in my career, like I think this is a moment in a season I'll look back on and be like, this is why I am who I am today. And that's obviously probably pretty challenging to think in that way right now, but I truly believe that. And, you know, it was hard sitting on the bench. I'm not going to lie. There were certainly some hard days, but, you know, I think it taught myself how to be a really good leader and how to be a really good teammate and how to empathize for your teammates in certain situations. You know, when you're in the heat of battle, your emotions are high and, you know, you feel things differently. And I think when you're on the sidelines and you don't have your jersey on, you can observe and really watch people and learn about people. And, you know, I don't think it was so much for me like the basketball. I mean, like, obviously you learn about basketball. That's always how I've learned. I've been a basketball junkie. Like, you watch games, you watch the NBA, you watch college, you just have basketball on. That's the best way to improve your IQ. But also to learn about people and ask them questions and watch the way they operate. And for myself, getting to do that with my teammates, I think is probably the biggest lesson I learned. And just, you know, how can I show up every single day and, you know, pour into them and be there for them, but also, you know, going forward down the road, like if I have a teammate that's injured or hurt or going through a tough moment, like I know I will always show up for them and be there for them and check in on them, because it is an incredibly isolating thing and you don't realize that until you go through it. And, you know, everybody says it, like, but you don't feel it unless you go through it. So I think all of that is probably what I learned most.
We're going to jump over to Zoom, go to Malika Andrews.
Caitlin, I'm really glad to hear that you are on the mend here. I'm not sure how to turn on my camera, so I'll just keep going.
It's all right. I
We've
can't
heard
see
from
you
a lot
anyway.
of players in the last couple of days that more good leadership, great leadership is what is needed. I'm curious, in your mind, what is great leadership? What do you hope happens from here?
I mean, I think over the course of my career, and obviously you always want to become a better leader. And I think I've been around a lot of really good leaders in my life, and I've been very fortunate and able to learn from those people, and I'm trying to learn and grow every single day as a leader too. And I think for me, and I've said this many times, it is all about relationships, and that's the truth. And I know that's really hard to say in professional sports, but you know, whether it's a relationship with your front office, whether it's a relationship with commissioner of the league, whether it's a relationship with your teammates, like, that's the most important thing in leadership. Why would my teammates want to listen to me if I didn't have a relationship with them? Like, I think it's the most simple thing, and you have to be very intentional about seeking those out and understanding your teammates. Like, everybody in professional sports comes from different walks of life, and you have to be able to know why they are who they are. Like, I think that's super important, and being intentional about that. So I think that's something I try to continue to improve in my daily life every single day, whether it's obviously, you know, as a part of the Indiana Fever organization or whether it's as a friend or a family member. You know, relationships are very important for me as a person. So I would just say, you know, for me, I would say the most important part of leadership, whether that's the WNBA, whether that's corporate America. I think it comes down to relationships and really caring about the people you surround yourself with.
I should have been more specific. That's what you're hoping for from the league office when you say great leadership. You're hoping for that relationship-based great leadership.
Sure.
All right, we'll go one more on Zoom with Maddie Kenny, and then we're going to probably wrap up in the room with Brian.
I just wanted to follow up on a question that Alexa asked about, what Fee said, the story involving you specifically. And your popularity as a player obviously skyrocketed when you were in college and you had a lot of NIL opportunities and stuff. So I guess when you heard that, what was your reaction? Because it came off a little dismissive to your own brand and your own individual brand power, I guess.
I think that's probably the way in which the league has probably changed over the course of the last few years. These kids and what they're making in college these days is pretty insane. It's honestly probably more than what I made. Obviously, a lot has changed even since I've graduated. So I'm not 100% up to date on the exact numbers of what college kids are making. But, obviously I was very fortunate after my freshman year of college. That's when I began working with, different brands and began working with Nike and, everybody knows my first NIL deal was with Hy-Vee, the greatest grocery chain of all time, based in Des Moines, Iowa, baby. So best chocolate long johns around. But, I think that's the way in which people, young women are coming into this league now with that type of, I don't even want to say it's money, but they're beginning to build their brands in college, and then they're bringing that to the WNBA. So I think that's just a way in which the league has changed and will continue to evolve. And back to my main point, like I said, we are in the biggest moment in WNBA history. There's no denying that. Everybody knows that, and everybody that's in a place in power has a true responsibility, and even myself, we have a responsibility to make sure that this game is in a great place going forward with the CBA and, caring for our players and, building this league to make sure it's in a great spot for many years to come, because you all know I grew up as a huge fan of this league, and I'm going to do everything I can to make this the league that, a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old, a girl in college is really proud of to come into and to be able to put a WNBA uniform on. And, that's what they dream of. And then hopefully they can accomplish that goal, because that's exactly who I was. And that's, really at the end of the day, I hope that's what my legacy can be, is just how I impacted people to be able to maybe want to be in the WNBA, but to really just achieve whatever they want to achieve. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a tangent there on your question, but yeah, that's all I got for you.
Last one with Brian.
Lexie Hull and the way that she kind of found her game a little bit offensively there later in the season. I'm curious what you saw from her just in terms of her development and how she adjusted to the way teams defended her.
Yeah, I think Lexie is, obviously, as you guys know, she's one of my good friends, so I don't really have many bad things to say about her. But every team in this league should want a Lexie Hull type of player on their team. That's just never once have I seen her be disappointed in the amount she played. And I was here at the beginning of last year when she was getting DNPs, and was the exact same person as she is right now. As probably she turned into our third option offensively because we lost so many players, but also she embraced that and she worked for that and she wanted to be in that moment. And I think she's really flourished and her game has improved quite a bit. She's always been such a tenacious defender, and obviously you all know she's had some back troubles throughout the end of this playoffs here. And I'm like, Lex, you just play reckless. You're good. I was holding my breath those last few games, but that literally just sums up the type of person she is. She's selfless. She's going to go out there. She's going to lay it all on the line for this team. There was never a doubt in her mind if she was ever going to play a game in the playoffs where she had pain. She was going out there and she was going to play. There was no question. And that really just sums up who she is. And, we're really fortunate to have her as a part of our organization. And I hope it's like that for many years to come, too.
All right, we're going to wrap up there. I know there's a lot of questions, but I've already got Caitlin about
Thanks,
8 minutes late
guys.
for her next meeting, so.
Just kidding. I'm going to be good today.
All right,
I'm over it.
who wants to get us started with Sophie? We'll go Lou and then Scott.
A little while ago, Amber said that she's been hearing from people talking about The Fever that this is the best movie they've watched
Oh, no.
all year because of everything that happened, and you're in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can you see what they were talking about, and how do you feel about a comment about that?
Yeah. I think what happened to us this season, you don't see in the span of someone's whole career, yet alone one season. And so for us, I think we're all pretty exhausted, to be honest. It's season just ended, but when you this season was amazing in so many ways. The love in the locker room, the way the fans embraced us, people from all over the world reaching out to us. It was truly awesome and inspiring, but it was also a season from hell, and hopefully this never happens again, because I think we are exhausted, when it's blow after blow, a whole bunch of other things going on, it's exhausting. And so for us to kind of be able to finally take a deep breath and know no one else is going to get injured is a huge break for us.
Sophie, you said after Game 5, I got a lot on my mind.
Oh, boy.
What particularly, in what direction was your mind racing at that juncture?
I mean, everywhere. And I'm going to be good today. I am, because I'm just tired of our league. They need to step up and be better. Our leadership from top to bottom needs to be held accountable. I think that there are a lot of people in the position of powers in the WNBA who they might be really great business people, but they don't know shit about basketball. And that's got to change. I said I was going to be good, and I just messed up. But I do. I think everyone's frustrated when NBA players from that side of things are reaching out to us, just like in awe of how terrible it is. Like, that's saying something. That is absolutely saying something when your counterpart is feeling bad for us because of how we're getting treated. I mean, come on. And that's from leadership. That's from. I'll just leave it there. From our leadership, it's just bad. When fans and players, especially players, when we're competing at the highest level and it's like a battlefield out there, when we're agreeing on the court because of how awful the officials are, like that's saying something. Like, listen to us. We're not going to come for your heads, but I think there is room for improvement to change the criteria when the whole league is asking for it. But when the leadership isn't doing anything about it, why? Why? And so I think there's just frustration. The game's not fun to watch because everyone's just trying to kill each other, because that's how you're going to survive. Otherwise, you get injured. I don't know. It just sucks. Our game is changing, and yeah, we want it to be physical, but at the same time, like, you still want to watch good basketball. And when they can't get that under control, it's not fun.
Tony?
I don't want to keep you off your good streak, but you said know anything about basketball. Is there anything to that beyond officiating to you, or is that mostly?
Say what? I'm sorry?
You said that business people but don't know anything about basketball. Is
Yeah.
that a critique beyond officiating, or is that most of where that?
No,
is going?
I think it's officiating for sure. I think that there's room for improvement there when, people are reaching, why is that a foul, or why is that not upgraded, or why is it not a foul? Well, the criteria says, the criteria needs to change, clearly. And I think that's kind of where, people are in position to change that, but they don't know basketball. Like, yeah, you've been around the game, but you haven't played. And, maybe that's on us players that after we're done, maybe we try to move into those positions so we can make the next generation better, so we can improve the game even when we're done. I don't know what that looks like, but I know that definitely needs to change. I think there's so much else, especially when it comes to the CBA, that our leadership on that side is just very poor. Very, very poor. And I think you guys, Nafisa hit it right on the head. I don't think I really need to go into detail, but that's just coming from one player, and that's probably 1% of what she knows, right? So just imagine what the whole league really knows what's going on behind the scenes.
Hard pivot, but where are you at health-wise? Do you expect you'll
really
be
good?
Do you think you'll be ready to go at any point this offseason or by the start of next?
Oh, hell yeah, man. On a real note, I'm feeling really good. I definitely have turned a corner in my rehab. Feeling really good. And honestly, mentally, I'm doing well too. It is exhausting. You're just can't do anything physically when the games are going on except for encouraging and motivating and feeding confidence into your team. I'm just so proud of us for the continued fight.
Honestly, the rehab room has been pretty fun because it's packed in there. So I'm glad I don't have to do that alone. But I'll be able to, really kind of get going in January. So it could have been a lot worse. So I'm thankful that it was just my MCL. But my rehab, I just had my doctor's appointment, and I'm progressing quite quickly. And so I'm really happy about that. But I'm so bad at being patient, so I'm ready to kind of get going.
We're going to go Chloe then, to Alexa. Yeah, kind of when it comes to getting going, you posted after Game 5.
I knew you were going to say that.
That, we're coming for everyone next season. Is it
Yep.
your hope that you stay in Indiana and come back?
I have loved being here. And I don't think that's news to anybody. I think that just being back in the Midwest and being around girls who you truly do love, like I've been in the league for 7 years and I've never been a part of a team like this. And so when you've been through this type of season together, when you're invested in each other's lives outside of basketball, of course you want to come back. I'm definitely going to be entertaining other teams, other offers. But my hope is, that I've had a great time here and I would like to continue that. But I also think with the new CBA, there's a lot on the line. And so I might be blonde, but I can't just not look at other opportunities.
I'm going to have to pivot back if you don't mind.
It's totally fine.
Kind of on the note of the CBA, how much are you aware of where things stand with talks and kind of what's your kind of impression of where things stand now?
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a follow-up if there.
Yeah, we have a big call this afternoon, and I think that's going to give all of us players a much-needed update. I have kind of just been locked in on getting healthy, to be honest, and making sure our team is where they need it to be. And so I've kind of pushed that off to the side. I think a lot of us have kind of at this point of season. But now that season's done, it's time to lock in on that. And I do know that the league came back and really gave us nothing. And so, there's a potential lockout because I promise you that we are not going to play until they give us what we deserve. And that's kind of where it's headed, unfortunately, which would be the dumbest basketball decision business-wise ever, considering the momentum the W has right now.
Is that a call just with all players or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of second question. Saw you comment specifically on the allegations of what Kathy said about Caitlin.
Yeah.
Didn't know if you wanted to expand on that or.
I think it was pretty self-explanatory. Not really a fan of our leadership in the W. I just think they're failing us as a league, definitely failing us as players. Everything Nafisa said, we all feel that way, and we're all going to back her. And I think it's pretty strong coming from her. I think a lot of us have been saying that, but when it comes from someone to that caliber of a player, that we're being serious. And so my comment on that, I think it's pretty shameful that she always makes it about her, Kathy, when it should have nothing to do with her.
We'll go Lou, then Elliot. Thank you. Okay. Elliot, then Lou.
Hey, Sophie.
Hi.
I guess not being on the floor was tough. What did you enjoy the most about being in the sideline with the coaches, Chloe, Caitlin?
Yeah, like sideline when I was hurt?
Yeah.
Oh, we had a great time over there. I think that we caused some ruckus over there, which was needed at times, probably not needed the majority of the time. But, I think that's what makes this team so fun is that regardless of what we're going through, if it's injury, if it's personal stuff, that we always are just there for the betterment of the team. And I know you guys have heard us say multiple times, it's standard over feeling, it's we over me. But that's what's made it so fun is because we truly all kind of went 2 feet in with that. And sometimes that's what you need. When you're having a bad day of rehab or you got stuff going on, you just need your teammates to kind of lift you up. And so that's kind of what the bench mob was all about. We had a lot of fun. Of course, all of us hate being injured. Like, it just sucks being able to not do anything to help the team. But how freaking awesome that we got to be front row seats to watching girls that maybe no one knew about coming from overseas, picking up players that took on 5 Olympians, took them over, took them into overtime. And, maybe if some calls went the other way, we could be in the finals right now. And so I'm just so proud of our team. It was a hell of a season, and it was quite fun being on the sideline, even though I gave the doctors a heart attack pretty much every time I jumped up and was cheering. So it was good.
Lou? Lou? Anything from you, Lou? You're good now? Okay. Anything else? I'll go to John, and that's probably the last one we have.
Yeah, and just basketball-wise, you finished with the highest three-point shooting percentage of your career. And I know it was kind of up and down along the way, but just how did you feel like you evolved over the course of this season?
Yeah, I think my story this season is, coming into training camp, I was in the best shape I've ever been in. I was shooting the shit out of it, training, to be honest. And then preseason game, when I hurt my ankle, that kind of set me back a little bit. And when I really looked at it, and I was actually talking to the docs about this the other day, like it really kind of, even when I was playing, it took me a little bit to feel like myself. That ankle injury, you can come back fast from it, but it takes a while to kind of get back in your groove. And so I definitely think that when I came back, I wasn't myself yet. But when I really was healthy this season, I think I played pretty well, and I did what I was supposed to do. I'm a shooter, and so when you have people around you who are going to get you the ball when you're open, and all you have to do is make your shot, I think it was pretty fun, to be honest. But then it got injured, and so my mindset truly is to get healthy. And this off season is going to be probably one of my best ones. I'm just so excited. I'm so motivated. I had a hell of a time when I was out on the court playing with these girls. And so I really don't know truly what the future holds. I don't know if I'm going to be back here, but I do know that my time here so far was pretty fun. So.
All right. Thank you, Sophie. Meg, Josh.
You good? Hey, Lou, good morning.
Hi.
Steph praised you for your maturity that you demonstrated this season. How do you feel like the adversity this year matured you individually as a person and as a player?
Yeah, I think for me it's always been about staying level-headed, and I feel like there's no better way than to test that when you have a lot of things to adapt to, and I feel like that was kind of the story of our season. And so for me, it just allowed me to just stay calm, focus on the present, and be where my feet are.
She also called you the rock of this team.
Oh, she's so nice.
Yeah, facts. Who was that rock for you growing up, and what did you learn from that person that prepared you to be the rock for this team?
Yeah, honestly, I'd say my parents. I just feel like the way that they raised my sister and I, and just them always being there no matter what, even when we moved away from home. And so that's kind of just how I've been since I was younger, and so I guess it kind of just translates now.
The phrase, we over me, where'd that come from? And how did it evolve during the course of the season? I guess as you lived it.
Yeah. That was our motto since our first team meeting before the season started. That was what Steph and the entire staff had for us. They said that this season is going to be we over me, and I feel like that's really, it translated well with everything that happened. It was about continuing to give more of yourself for the betterment of the team and doing exactly what you have to do to help us with our success, and that's really just kind of been what we've been living all season.
Tony?
You had talked in past seasons about the adjustments to point guards and getting off of social media at times for your own mental things like that. This year, it didn't feel like those parts came up as much. How much stronger do you feel like you were mentally for this full season compared to your first 2 years?
Definitely a lot stronger, but it still was something that I did, like getting off social media, not really looking at a lot of things, because no matter what, people always have their opinions. And so for me, I felt like I started off the season super strong, playing some of my best basketball. And so being off social media and not being able to see what people are saying really helped me. And honestly, I just kind of stayed on TikTok, and that was pretty much it.
How much did the team that you had and the internal support that you guys have all talked about all season help with that part of it?
Oh, everyone was such a big piece. I really enjoyed coming in here, playing basketball, being on the court, being off the court, with the Fever girls. It was just a whole different vibe. We were just so happy. And so no matter what was happening on that court, I even think back to it, even sometimes some games where we came in after and it was a tough loss for us, the coaches, their approach, they were happy, they were still good, they were communicating. And I think that's what stood out for me, because it wasn't like, oh my gosh, well, one, I know I'm still going to get blasted on film, but it's like their approach was way different, and they weren't just crapping on you, but it really was just about showing you exactly where we can continue to learn and grow.
We'll go Elliot, then Brad.
Hey, AB. Here. So I guess you didn't see Dawn Staley's tweet about you?
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did.
I did.
What can you say about that?
Coach Staley's my girl. I just think her presence for me during my first 3 seasons have been honestly amazing. Like, I reach out, she reaches out to me, and we talk a lot about basketball. And tonight she just does a great job of kind of just reminding me who I am and my capabilities. And so I think it's amazing. And if there's anyone listening, go Gamecocks. Go to Coach Staley. She's the best.
Fred?
Aliyah, your role evolved as the season went on and the lineup continually changed. It felt like, though, that we saw the most of your game perhaps this season that we saw during your time here. Did you feel like you got a chance to show even a little bit more of your abilities and what you can contribute?
I definitely did. I think being able to play in the trail a lot more, playing in that high post, obviously back to the baskets has been my bread and butter, but being able to make the right passes from the top, finding my guards, them knocking down the shots, I think it definitely expanded, being able to show me being able to expand my game.
Alexa?
Hi, Leah. This offseason, you're back on Unrivaled. We saw news about your broadcasting. Kind of what else do you have planned? And for, Unrivaled and broadcasting specifically, I guess, on the court, what are you hoping to get out of Unrivaled again? Broadcasting, what excites you about being back and behind the camera?
Yeah, I love talking about basketball, so I'll start with the broadcasting part. I'm just super excited. I think it's always a great opportunity for me, so being able to just see the young talent that's going to be coming up and talk about them and hype them up, I feel like that's my favorite part. And when it comes to Unraveled, I'm super excited to be back. I think just last year, being able to work in that space, being able to show a little bit more of my game and then let it translate into the W season, I'm really excited for.
Do one follow-up. You're obviously still under contract with the team, but, this team, the whole league, there's so much uncertainty with free agents, abound. Do you hope that this is, that you guys can run back, mostly the same group, even though, again, so much uncertainty? And how do you, I guess, as, one of the certainties of this process approach, an offseason with so many question marks?
Yeah, honestly, I definitely would. I think this group was just so special. And, you can always think about the what ifs, right? Like, what if half our squad didn't get hurt, or what if we had our point guards, and what if. And so it's really crazy. I think about how far we made it this season with so much that happened, and just imagining what it would have been like with everyone being healthy. And I know our GM and our presidents are going to do a great job going into this off season. I'm excited to just be a vocal point and just be able to communicate what I'm thinking, how I feel. But honestly, I'm excited for what's to come.
Go from Josh to Lou down the line here.
Speaking of being vocal, you've been vocal about your devotions and doing those daily. What did you learn from your devotions this year that kind of took you through the hard time?
That's a good question. I think there's just been so many, but I feel like the thing I learned the most was really that no matter what, God has your situation in hand. And I remember sometimes too, after people got hurt, especially when Sid and A both went down in Phoenix, I just remember I was crying and I was super emotional. And then my devotions the next day it basically talked about things happen, and sometimes God lets things happen because he wants to be able to show you that he's going to bring you out on the brighter side. And that was something that held me pretty strong throughout the entire season, because no matter what happened, we were in a Game 5 in the semifinals. And I know it didn't end the way that we wanted, but this season was just so amazing for me, and it just continued to show God's mercy and faithfulness over this team no matter what.
I was struck by the fact that when you went to Connecticut, you actually, to Boston, to the State House there. And, we always talk about South Carolina's influence, but never hear much about Worcester. So I don't know how you got there in the first place. That's where I'm from, that area.
Ah.
So what was that like for that appearance with the State House and being honored there by the government there?
Yeah, it was honestly super special because obviously I moved to Worcester when I was 12. And so living in Worcester, being in Boston, basically raised me. My aunt raised my sister and I from the time I was 12 until I went to South Carolina. And so Boston and Worcester has always been a super important part of me growing up. My first AU team, I played out there. And so it's just been a crucial piece for me.
Natasha Howard, just if you could speak to her importance specifically from that kind of leadership standpoint and just having that veteran presence specifically with you,
Yeah,
also being a post player.
Tasha's been great, seriously, the entire season, just always in our ear, always talking to us, always motivating us. And I think just her presence on the floor alone, the way that she communicates, I feel like that's the best thing, is when you have a vet that has one that has been so successful in this league be a constant communicator. I would not change that for the world, especially going into year 3 with a whole new staff and preparing myself for that. She was honestly a perfect piece.
I'm going to jump over to Zoom. Jennifer, go ahead.
Hi, Aliyah.
Hi.
If you could send one message to the league about the Fevers going into next season, what would it be?
One message to the league about the Fever?
Going into next season.
Yes.
Be ready. Be ready. I think this year we showed a lot about what we're capable of, and we didn't even have our full squad at full strength. And so that's it. Be ready. Oh my gosh, that's probably good.
Josh, and then
And what's been your most memorable moment this season?
Ooh. Winning a lot more games this year. Making it to the semifinals. I definitely say that. And honestly, just being with such a fun and positive group.
Hi. Okay. Obviously, Indy loves sports, especially basketball. Is there anything you'd like to say about what it means to you to be able to play here, especially after this past season?
Yeah, Indy's amazing. I think the way that the fans come out and they show out for us every single game, not just for us but for all the leagues here, it's so special, and I wouldn't trade it.
in the back to John.
AB, I know after Tuesday night's game, you said thoughts for next season start tomorrow or yesterday. One thing we heard Steph talk about over the course of the year was already the evolution in your career from kind of back to the basket, pick and roll game, this year facilitating, being the hub. And she's mentioned she hopes the next step for you maybe would be outside shooting. So what are your thoughts on that and how you continue to grow your game for next year?
I 100% agree. I think that's going to be a big key piece for me coming into next year, being able to knock down that shot outside consistently. But also I think for me working a lot more in that mid-post area and making teams have to guard out there and not just having to worry about back to the basket.
Anything else for Aliyah? Back to Scott, back to Josh.
One thing I don't think we had ever heard negatively was about ownership and accountability and all that stuff. Why do you think that really emanated from a positive standpoint and everybody was a willing listener or leading when they needed to?
Yeah, I think our owners, our GM, our pres, like everyone when it comes to the Fever continues to pour in, and they know what we need to be just such a successful franchise, and I think they just do a great job. Communication's always open. They always love to hear from us, and vice versa, and I think that's just what makes this group so special.
Obviously unrivaled in the off-season broadcasting, but also know you love to read books. Any books you have lined up to help you just detox?
Ooh, I actually just started. It's called First Lie Wins. And honestly, I was so excited. Thanks for this question. Guys, I've read like 8 books this summer. 8 or 9 books. Like, I'm like highly impressed. But I did just start that. First Lie Wins. I'll tell you what it's kind of about, even though you didn't ask. But this girl basically gets this like job, and she's like dating this guy, and we don't know what the job is. But then this other girl comes, and it's like her name, her old name, because they get like fake identity. So now she's confused as to why the girl's here, and so that's where I'm at right now. So I think the tea's really about to get good, because I don't know why they sent the other girl there when she was already there. But hey, here we are.
We'll see it on the WNBA Reads account later.
Oh, I will, 100%. Yes, check my Instagram story. Hopefully I'm done like next week. I have a hair appointment soon, so I'll finish it.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. All right, we're going to get started with Kelsey here. Tony,
Kelsey, now 2 days removed. How are you feeling, and did doctors give you any indication on how this even happened to you?
I feel fine. As far as like, I don't think I could play in a real game for like another. I mean, realistically, I would hope now that it's over, I could just take some rest. But I probably should just take some time to kind of reset because I lost a lot of fluid. I think in that experience alone, I kind of just felt scared because for a while, my legs weren't, so numb and so paralyzed, so to speak, that I couldn't feel my feet. So I just think resetting, getting my bloodstream back flowing, to be able to and I think it just happened over usage, man. I think to answer your question, I think it was just, for one, if I'm honest, I never played that long. I never made it to a postseason. And then I just think, being there and being present for my team, I kind of never thought about anything like Rabdo. I don't know how random that it even is in a playoff game 5, but that's another conversation for another day. But I felt really grateful that at the time I panicked, but when it was all said and done, I was grateful that it wasn't, I could have been Sid, I could have been Ari, so I was grateful too. But to answer your question, I just think a little time, a little reset button, I think we all could use that, and then just kind of make sure that my body is in the flow state it needs to be to kind of be competitive and at an elite level.
You did just touch on this a little bit, but your interpretation of the why is that it was so deep into the season. Was it volume of workouts? Where exactly do you feel like it might have come from?
I don't know. I don't blame Steph for all that practicing. But no, I just think that, you're a professional. You do what you have to do. You commit to the work. There's no, complaining about it. I think it's just kind of like happened that way. And I think that for me, it was also a learning lesson to figure out where my body needs to be at a playoff level and to maintain what needs to be maintained. And so I thought that was a learning area for myself and, maturing in certain areas as far as knowing what my body needs specifically and what it doesn't.
Alexa and Chloe.
Well, so glad to see that you're okay.
Yeah, thank you. Me too.
Based off, your conversations initially with doctors, is there anything like moving forward, longer term, that you have to just be careful about, or keep in mind, do to make sure something like that doesn't happen again?
No, I think that was like when I got done with the Vegas doctors and our doctors, that was like, that's a once in a lifetime thing. Nobody thought rhabdo game 5 or anything like that. So for me, it was just about going forward, like I said, knowing what my body needs, but I think specifically just making sure that, any athlete, competitively, if you want to be at the top of your game, you kind of got to just keep pouring in. And so I wouldn't have changed anything for me, if I'm honest. I wouldn't have changed anything that I've done, any practice, any workout that I've done prior to, because it was worth it. I guess I played literally till my wheels fell off, like I told you guys. So, like I said, I'm just going to keep learning the body part of it, but I wouldn't trade it in at all. It was a once in a lifetime experience, and I trade my body in every time.
Chloe? Oh, sorry.
Quick follow-up. Sorry. Okay. I'm sure it was obviously you were dealing with
it's
so scary to try and figure out what's going on, and then you can't be there with your team
Yeah.
finish out the game. From that standpoint, how did you kind of process that? And then when you eventually could rejoin the team, what was that moment like too?
Oh, just a lot of crying, a lot of emotions when we got reconnected, all of us. We did all of our pictures, stuff like that. So that was like, when you got a chance to get back with your group, the group of people that you kind of did, life with for the last 5 or 6 months. It's kind of been, I want to be back with my family, and they made me feel loved, and I hope that, they know that I love them because, without them, I don't even think I would have got through it because when I was on the floor, and, I was emotional. I think back to Aliyah Boston kind of praying over me. I think back to Lexie Hull holding my hand. I think back to Bree Turner kind of just making sure my legs, she was like, Kelsey, they're going to eventually move. She kept telling my legs was going to eventually move. And so that radiation of love was just, it's great to be able to play with the group that I play with. And I can honestly say I'll go to war with them in any kind of day. So it'll be a learning experience for all of us. But I felt grateful that the girls finished the game. Shout out to Odyssey Sims for kind of just being a competitor. Shout out to Lexie can finish the game, Tosh for just, finishing and making it feel like, we weren't going to go out without people know our name. And I think they did an unbelievable job. And so I'm happy for all of them.
Chloe? Yeah, a lot of talk around the postseason was kind of just pushing through and kind of pushing through the fatigue.
Yeah.
Were there some symptoms possibly of the rhabdo that you thought were fatigue, but
I think back to it, and I can honestly say that, at the time, it was that time of the month as a woman, and so I thought like it was just cramps for a while, and then I felt like my stomach dropped to my legs a little bit, and you guys got to think I had just hit a 3, and so I didn't even, I'm like, all right, I'm just, and then, obviously you guys saw the video, I just like my body locked, like I just couldn't move, I couldn't like, and when I fell on Isaac, I felt so bad for him because I was like, maybe he don't even know what's happening. But it was an unbelievable experience. But I think that I think back to it. I think a little fatigue already settled in based on our travel, based on playing Game 4, leaving the next day to Game 5, and so I took the proper, treatment. I did everything that I would normally do. I just think, life happens.
Couple specific questions. First of all, it looked like you refused the wheelchair.
Heck yeah.
Tell us about that.
No, we're not doing a stretcher, man. On the funny side, I was like, walking out here on a stretcher is just not going to happen. Not doing that. And I was like, if you guys just get me off the floor so they can finish the game, I'll be fine. But I don't know if you guys saw my feet, but they were like dangling because I had no blood flow. And so me getting put off the court was just an act of God, really, because I couldn't lift my legs to move. So the stretcher thing was just, eventually I was like, just get me off the floor. And so I was carried off. I was going to use the stretcher because I didn't deem it fitting. Like I wasn't about to walk out. Like he was going to see me leave, on my own. And so I think that was just making an impact on myself to say like, no, you're going to get up and you're going to figure it out, without this stretcher. So it was just really that.
At what point did you get that feeling back, and when did you know, all right, we'll figure it out, I'll be good?
I think a little bit after my toes start to move. And then once, that was kind of in the huddle, for a while. Like I said, I was just pretty numb. And then I started feeling my feet move a little bit, and my toes were wiggling a little bit. I'm like, all right. But I couldn't really lift because, the lack of blood flow like I wanted to. So me being picked up by Papa Todd Chamberlain, he was just keeping me calm for one, but he was just telling me, he was like, your legs going to eventually start moving. You just got to get the blood flow back. And so I think that reiteration kind of just picked me up a little bit to kind of get through it.
Pat and John in the back there.
Kelsey, when you think about what you were able to accomplish this season and then all the resiliency you saw from this team, like how is that possible for you personally and then for this team as a group?
Pat, I'll just be honest and I'll say that not a lot of people even expected us to be here. And I think that's within itself a lot to be proud about for our group. We handled a lot of adversity. I think the impact of losing CC was big and paramount for everybody, let alone us. And so that was a shift. People had to adjust. People had to transform them games a little bit to, make sure it was fitting for everybody. But I think the injuries, Pat, and I think that the team camaraderie that we had to keep, bringing people in and bringing to people out, that was big for us. And I say this, it's hard to find culture. It's hard to establish that when you're trying to make a run and when you're trying to be, a team and you're trying to make, being C's and you're trying to make the top 8. And so that stuff was big for us. And we could have folded. And we didn't. We didn't tuck our tail. We didn't complain. I kind of made it an effort as a leader in my own way to not complain about it. Just, do the work. It wasn't anything that anybody was going to give us. Being the Fever the last couple of years, there's been more eyes than ever. And so, a lot of people may not like the Fever. So it's just a lot that you just had to be mindful of and be grateful about, too, because it could have been worse. And I'm proud of our group, Pat, too, because the adversity that we faced it's not something small, that was big. It was big moments. We lost big pieces. And I think for us, it was just about making sure that we kind of picked up where we left off and just kind of stand in tune and stand in it.
Kels, with, as you said, people having to transform their games a bit over the course of the year, given all the adversity. But for you in an MVP finalist season, how did you feel like you grew personally with your game?
I think the part that I grew the most at was, I think the best way to put it was at this level I used to watch. I was grateful enough to watch Tyrese and Jalen Brunson and those guys in person in the NBA playoffs. And the one thing I took from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Halliburton was the fact that they took risk. And I don't know how to explain that, but as a guard and as a person that's trying to make plays for everybody else, you gotta allow your game to let your game be your game and take a risk while doing it. And I think that you guys seeing me take a risk was just me trusting myself, trusting the confidence of my game. And I think that part was big for me because I had played on the 2 for a while, and then when CC went out, I shifted a little bit. And so I think it was big for me not to lose who I was and be able to take a risk and trust who I was and trust the work that I put in. And I say that to say that I wasn't doing that as much as I thought I was. And so when the more and more experience I got throughout the course of games, I'm like, dang, I got to take more risk. And, you got to know that you're doing it for yourself and for your team. It's not about anybody else. And so that was a big leadership shift for me.
Tony?
Were you able to watch the end of the game at the hospital?
A little bit. I watched it in back because I was on the drip IV with a thing in my nose. So I was watching a little bit. And I was like, smiling when we did great stuff, and then I would shed a tear when we did bad stuff or stuff didn't go our way. And so I was like a wreck, but it was worth it. It was worth it. I'm so proud of our group because I feel like at that time there was so much happening that I don't know if anybody knew what would happen, and I was proud for our group for finishing.
We'll go Alexa, then Rich.
Kelsey, this is a question kind of looking ahead, being a free agent, having an off season ahead of you. There's obviously uncertainty across the board, across the league.
Yeah.
Have you put any thought into, what you think you might wish for 2026 for yourself, whether you'd like to be back or
Yeah.
anything along those lines?
I hope we got a league. So for there, I hope that when it's all said and done, we can, have a season period for all the girls, for every person that's, aspirations to be in the league and be in a W. I think for one, that's the start, being on the same page with that. Bless you. Being on the same page for that and kind of just, making sure we have a league to start. No matter what happens, having a league is kind of big for us. And I think individually for me, I'm going to take my time, figure out what my family needs. Losing a parent is a big shift. And so, I take in consideration how my mom feels now. I take in consideration how my siblings and, my intermediate family, my dad's mom is still alive, my grandmother. And so that's big for me. And so, family is big for me. And so I think talking to them and figuring out what's best for us and for what I need internally is always going to be important. And I think that takes time. But I will say to Indiana Fever, 8 years, it's going to be a lot to talk about because I have so much love and so much aspiration for this place. And I think when the time is right, the great conversations will be had. But Indy is my second family and everything I've been through the last 8 years. I don't think Indianapolis, Indiana, I don't think there's any other place that was greater for me, the growth and all that. So I think the right conversations will be had. And when it's time, I guess we'll all know.
We got time for one more with Rich in the back.
And Amber just made it clear to us that you will be the top priority. So this Fever team that started the season was so much different from the Fever team that ended the season.
Yeah.
And there's not even room on the roster for all the players who made contributions to this team. So how curious are you about what this Fever team is going to look like next year?
Man, like you said, it's a lot of great questions. Some of it, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't even have control or know anything about. So I'll leave that to Steph, Amber, and all those guys. But to every person that contributed, I would like to think that whatever team that was, at the end, whatever team that was in the middle, whatever team was at the beginning, I would like to think that our culture was so big and so great that every person is gonna have somewhere where they can show and be themselves based off what the Fever did this year. And I like to think that we put ourselves in position to kind of be in conversation for what we all need individually. So to every lady, I think that was a part of our group this year, I think great things will happen for us. I think a lot of it's going to fall on, the league itself, the expansion. It's a lot of uncontrollable variables that we have to take in consideration here. And so I want to say that, I think that the Fever is going to do the best for the Fever, and I think that they're going to put the best pieces in the room for us. So, hats off to the organization for hopefully figuring it out.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Of course.
You got to start with Lexie. Tony, you're on the phone.
Yes, I'm good at that. Lexie, Natasha tweeted and was just saying a bunch about pride and how proud she was of this team. Have you kind of had similar emotions the last couple of days, and how do you balance that with a very painful ending to the season?
Yeah, I think following the game, it's so disappointing to lose. And most seasons end on a loss, so it's really hard and challenging. But I think when you sit back and think about our year and everything that we were able to accomplish with the circumstances that we were faced with, we just exceeded expectations. And so I think that's kind of where that pridefulness comes from, and everyone just continuing to show up and love each other and fight for each other and fight for the people that couldn't be out there. So yeah, I think proud is the biggest sentiment following the season.
This offseason's very uncertain for the entire league in general, but you're a free agent for the first time. Have you thought about what free agency might look like for you if you'd like to be back?
Yeah, I'm a restricted free agent, so I think that changes things a little bit. But I've loved my years here in Indiana. So obviously with a lot of uncertainty, you don't know what's to come, but I've built a life here, and I love this franchise. I love the people. I love the fans. So we'll see what comes.
Elliot?
Hey, Lexie. There is that photo of you running for the ball. You even shared it on Instagram. I wonder, people often say fighting spirit can be taught. How do you bring so much energy every night?
Honestly, I think it's just my competitiveness and will to win, and I think just my desire to try to impact the game as best I can. And I think that picture kind of shows just that fire and that will to get the ball, do whatever I can. I don't know if it is something that can be taught. I think that's something that you bring day in and day out. And I think that's just something that I've really prided myself on bringing every day.
Scott, you have a question, right?
First of all, just how's the back end general?
It's better. I'm excited to sit down and not do anything for a little bit. Yeah.
For you, what was this season like in terms of the different iterations and the different versions of yourself that you had to play, different roles, shooting, defense, diving, all those different things?
Yeah, I mean, the year, I feel like my role changed throughout the course of the year. I think continuing to just show up as my best self, regardless of starting or not, or playing more on the ball defensively or off, whatever the night looked like, I feel like my ability to adapt grew throughout the year. And that's something that I think I can continue to work on my game, is being flexible and being able to really just do whatever the team needs. And this year, I think everyone on our team was challenged in a way that they haven't been before.
Going to jump over to the Zoom to Jennifer Porty.
All right, let's see. What was your most memorable moment this season? And what's one lesson you learned this season that you'll carry with you for the rest of your career?
I think the most memorable would be winning the Commissioner Cup championship. That was just such a high moment for our team. Being able to celebrate with each other was really special. And to be able to have something lasting that nobody can take from us from this season is, I think, something that we're really excited about. I mean, it's a big deal to win any championship, so to be able to win one with this group was really special. And I think moving forward, just every single thing we faced, I think, is something that we won't forget. Like the injuries, the playing through playing with groups that we are just haven't even practiced with for the first time in games. We were faced with so much uncertainty. So I think there isn't one pinpoint game where I'm I'll remember that game. It's almost just all of these circumstances added together.
Alexa?
Hey, Lexie. No, you're going to be playing in Unrivaled. So what is exciting you about that, and what other plans do you have for the off season? How do you hope to, continue to add to your game and, ahead of next year?
Yeah, I'm really excited about Unrivaled. I'm excited about the new players they've added, the expansion that's happening there too. It's a great opportunity for us to get in the gym and play a different game. 3-on-3 is different. It's fun. It's fast. I'm looking forward to that. And I think from now until then, definitely going to enjoy a little bit of a break. But I'll be staying in the area, so being able to just train. Our coaches will be here. Just get better, get stronger, get more effective offensively. There's a lot of areas, I think, to improve. There always is. So I'm just excited about the opportunity to get better heading into next season.
You go, Brian.
Lexie, I had a couple for you. With offensively, did you start feeling a little bit more comfortable later in the season and just kind of getting used to being a little higher up on opponents' scouting reports defensively?
I mean, yeah, I think with every group, you're figuring out your role on the offense and defensive side. And I think when you play with a team, your chemistry builds and kind of what shots are going to be open in a game, and we rep those in practice. So for sure, I think you see the openings and the shots better as the year progressed. But I think that's definitely a part of my game that I can continue to improve.
And then with Unrivaled, playing 3-on-3, what does that do for you just in terms of growing your game?
It's another opportunity to showcase what you can do. I think there's so much more space. There's more opportunity to be aggressive offensively. So being able to work on that and then get real game reps is really big.
Scott, then back to Elliot.
Lexie, what was it like for you to see your bestie Caitlin struggle throughout the season and just all the time that she had to invest in the training room and all that treatment, then ultimately unable to get back?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard. I think when you have someone that's so competitive and really so much of what brings them joy is being out on the court and fighting and winning games and competing, and seeing her just struggle not to be able to get back to that place this season, it's really hard. And you don't want that for anybody. You don't want that especially for someone that that our team counts on, our fans want to see, them personally want to be out there. So it's just really hard. But I think at the end of the day, just really proud of her ability to continue to show up. It's not easy to come in before we leave for a flight and get a workout in and show up and just continue to be a positive energy. So just proud of her from that aspect. And I know she's going to come back stronger than ever with a little bit more hunger than I think she's ever had.
I asked TJ McConnell on Monday at Pacers Media Day how the bond that you share with the Fever, Pacers, and Colts. What can you say about that?
It's really special. You don't see that in, I don't know of any NBA, WNBA teams. They're continuing to show up for our games. I mean, Ty is one of our biggest supporters. I think their whole team was here for that game, and it's just really special. It's a special bond. We're grateful to have that. I think you continue to feel like it's not only us fighting out there. We know we have this huge support system behind us, and especially they know they can relate to a lot of what we go through. So to be able to share that with another team is really special.
Anything else for Lexie? All right, Rich in the back.
Lexie, what do you see with the explosive growth of women's basketball in general, the WNBA, and yet the unknowns now in this offseason? What do you see as a player as sort of where are we headed?
I mean, we're still headed forward and up. And I think that the growth of the sport has shown you that we can't set a bar because we continue to reach farther and expand. And it's so exciting to be a player at this huge pivotal time in the sport. So just really hopeful that moving forward, that will be valued. And I think especially with CBA negotiations coming up, we'll see how the league values us as players and as drivers of that growth.
All right, we got Natasha Howard here. Again, reminder if you're on Zoom, just use the raise hand button and we'll go on you as we can. Who wants to get us started with Natasha? Go to Lou and then Scott.
Good morning. Have you had any time to think about the adventure that this season turned out to be in a different way, probably than you anticipated back in the spring?
I haven't really sat down and actually digest everything yet. So, but all I can say that I'm really proud of this group, how we overcame so many obstacles, injuries. A lot of people didn't know that we were going to make it this far away to the semifinals, but we proved a lot of people wrong this whole season with the injuries that we had and also the new pieces that we brought in as well. I'm just really proud of this group, how we fought through everything. And I'm just really, really proud and really, really grateful to be a part of this group and these amazing young women.
How will you remember kind of this season and the levels to it? And then more to that, Steph referenced how you guys were obviously just 5 minutes from the finals, all things considered. How will that sit with you this offseason?
Yes, I'm just going to be just thinking about the good times that we had with this team. And this group was special. Very, very special. Like our job is not done. It starts during the off season with everybody, where everybody going to be, how they're going to be working out, training and stuff. So, kind of hard to put in words right now. Like I'm kind of getting emotional right now when it's talking about this because like we fought like no matter what and I love this group. I take this group over any team, I don't know how to put it in words right now.
Tasha, you were the only starter from opening night to play in that Game 5 overtime. How is it challenging to adapt throughout the season to new additions?
It's not challenging at all. When you bring new people in and they understand their roles coming to a new team, it's easy to adapt with new players. And it's really not that hard. Even in the overtime, I played with Odyssey Sims when we was in Dallas, so that's nothing new right there with me. So that's not hard to adapt with new people coming in.
Tony?
You posted right after Game 5 and said proud there. You just said it a bunch in your first answer. What specifically about what you guys did is everyone so proud of, whether that's proving people wrong, exceeding your own expectations? Why specifically are you all using that word so often?
Because we've been through so much in the beginning of the season. Cece went down. Next thing you know, Sid went down. Sophie went down. Like, it was just like a ricochet of like our players just getting injured. But like, we all stood together. We fought together, and like, none of us never took anything for granted. Things probably are meant to happen. Like, we can't predict what God had planned for this team, for this group. So, but at the end of the day, like, we all just proud of each other, of what we did collectively and individually as well. So, but at the end of the day, like, we're going to always say that we're proud of each other because we put in so much work to stay together, to overcome so much negativity through social media, through a lot of people. So, and we just kept our focus on that main goal, was making to the finals, and we were just 5 minutes short from being in the finals, though. But the way we fought and through everything, I'm just super proud of how we handled everything that was coming our way.
We're going to jump over to the Zoom to Jennifer Porti. Jennifer, if you unmute yourself, you should be good to go.
Yes. Hi, Natasha. What team or player brought out the absolute best thing out of you this season?
This team. The Fever did, for real. It really brought out the veteran out of me, the leadership, being more vocal, because I've been on multiple teams, but this group right here is completely special. Me just leading this team, they also followed. And that's one thing I didn't have to beg and say it over and over again to my teammates. They listened and they just did what they needed to do when I tell them what to do. So this is the most special team and special group that I've been on.
Alexa. Hi, Natasha. I know, everything's so fresh and you're, just got back here, but is there anything you can share about your plans for the off season, on the court, off the court, and also just looking ahead to next season? Would you like to be back with the franchise, and how will you be approaching free agency as the whole league is kind of in this boat too?
Well, I'm going to take a little mini vacation with my family, but I'll be in China this off season.